based on the key trends and issues which we have been talking about since yesterday, what is affecting the sector and organization, and which digital tools you are working with, and which are interested to you, and why it is so interested, and which is the most effective and promising tools which you have been find, or the technique which you have find, and which is not so promising, or what are the learning we can say to avoid those?
We are using a lot of tools in Deyaar FM, but the one which we are now proud to actually been using is the augmented reality and virtual reality. Now, this is something we have invested heavily in, and now all our teams are using this in our facilities management on hard services mainly. And to just explain it in a nutshell, people wear a headset, and then a subject matter expert will be, let's say, in Dubai, and the technician will be in Abu Dhabi. So previously, we would actually, if there's a problem, we will send a guy from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. The idea came to us through the lockdown, and we were talking with the company, a multinational called TeamViewer. They use it on Formula One cars, especially for Lewis Hamilton car. And we were talking, and we thought that would be good to use in facilities management. So now, he will have a small lens in front of him. So that will be the computer screen that we are seeing. There's a video, so we are seeing live feed from the site in Abu Dhabi. And then they will exchange the knowledge. If we need to draw anything for him, we will draw it on our screen. He will see it in front of the lens. And we can bring a third party, like the original equipment manufacturer, to the meeting live. So we will be releasing actually a video on this in the next couple of days. And hopefully that will be used with other companies within the market. We know that we are the reference for TeamViewer in this. Other items we are using, like QR code in cleaning. We are using, obviously, integration between CAFM and ERP and many others. But I'll let the other panelists also talk about their tools.
What we're looking at the moment, well, in terms of what hasn't worked well, we simply don't bring anything in that doesn't make sense or doesn't work well. So, yeah, we do feasibility studies and make sure that, well, we start off with a business need, and we don't bring in technology for technology's sake or for gimmicks or for marketing. So at the very start, we look at what's needed. We've brought in a number of technologies, IoT driven. For example, we've got an infrastructure management system that we've got sensors on our lakes in our horizontal communities. So that measures turbidity, measures algae, it measures pH, so we can always see at any one time the quality of the lakes within our communities. We've got efficiency apps for our housekeeping teams. So all the housekeepers have the tasks on their PDAs. The clients can see the progress that's happening throughout the day. The management can see what's happening throughout the day also. And obviously the employees feel very empowered with the PDAs. We've got an FE app. Jim Smith will actually be on here at 12 o'clock giving a demonstration. He's from Emrill. So he can actually show you what's available and what we're using in real life. And there's lots more, but I don't want to take up too much time, so I'll pass on to Tarek.
Technology is a very important topic when it comes to facilities management, specifically. Not because I'm in this industry, but our industry is for the FM professional, only FM professional understand the loads and the headache that we have. We manage thousands of people, we manage hundreds of clients, millions of square foot. We have daily challenges around the clock, we work 24/7. So I'm a strong believer, and I'm sure that also the panel share with me that the technology is the way forward when it comes to facility management. And it covers two sides of automation, whether it is back office and the support. Imagine somebody managing 13,000 people. Imagine the headache of the management of these colleagues and their human resources management, the supply chain, the you name it. And the other side is the operation itself, how to use the artificial intelligence, the machine learning, the robotic, the drones, all these technologies, how to use it to increase the efficiency, to reduce the dependency on the manpower, on the human manpower, this is one of the lessons learned during the pandemic. And I believe that everybody realized this, all the big players in the market realized this. Even one of my dear competitors established a company specialized in, Javeria will be talking about it, specialized in technologies. So yes, the sky is the limit. The number of technologies that we see every day is increasing. We receive on our LinkedIn every day, we receive messages from all over the world, from countries you've never heard of, with the new technologies proposing. They know what the advancement of the facility management in the GCC, specifically in the UAE, and they want us to pilot these technologies here in the Middle East. The industry today is focusing on this. We have a lot of R&Ds happening. But still long way to go. But we are still, after the pandemic, we started seeing a lot of progress.
I'm here representing the end user. Actually, I would say we're as well market shaper in the community business that we do. On the digital thing, I would say we rely a lot on the technology and innovation, and it's part of our culture to push ourselves always to lead and to provide our customers with the best systems that make their life easy to enjoy and to work as well. I would say example of the digital systems that we have, it ranges a lot because we have a portfolio of assets from residential to commercial to leisure. I would say one of the examples would be the CAFM system, which has been discussed yesterday, where we have this digital transformation helped us really have eyes and ears and hands-on on all the assets that's there. So the team can really, we're using their handheld and using all the systems to do their work, and at the same time, the management team to be able to audit as well, which is a new module that we've introduced last year. So another system would be for end user, would be the Palgate system, for example. It's something that is that has changed the accessibility of residents toward the project, whereby everything is managed digitally, and at the same time, it helps us ensure if there are anything that is that could create a breach or the authorities need to be monitoring any specific vehicle, let's say, they can, of course, because the project has public and private sections within it.
I'm today represent being the advocate for technology, but at the same time being very responsible leading the technology for facility management, because as we all know that the market is very price sensitive, so the technology has to make sense with the return on investment, with the margins and with the economies that we play with in facility management industry. So it's a very responsible job that we have to do, being technology advocate also, But at the same time, there are technologies, being Farnek, that we use, which is starting from traditional CAFM, which is a core and heart of the facility management, being smart, but straight through the energy management to carbon calculator, which is supporting the net zero strategy for the UAE. So we are doing all of those technology, which is traditional to modern, innovative and disruptive, but to make sure that, yes, they are making sense to the business. So we are trying to keep economies under control as well.
That's great. In fact, being on the other side of the table, also on the facility management as well, the consultant and commissioning agent, you know, all the sins which has been committed by the consultant, by the contractor, all those, that cross has to be borne by the facility management, because that is where the buck stops. And that's where and facility management, it never gets the bouquet. You always get the bricks. So it is a really tough job. And well, I hope that on the other side of the audience could also appreciate that. So Abdullah, next, coming to the next point, where will you be investing digitally or sustainability linked that will be aligned to your business upcoming priorities?
For your question, we are continuing to invest in technology. For the past 4 years, we have been investing heavily in it. This year, we will be investing in a central command center and also in robotics, but mainly the first project that we are undertaking actually kicks off this weekend, will be to build a central command center where it will be pulling all the data from different projects on a backbone, and it will connect different projects from BMS, from chiller plant management tools, IoT, etc., and bringing all this data back to a central area where it is analyzed, and then obviously, you know, we use this data in driving efficiency across the projects. It's very important when you are looking at any investment to have a return, a clear return on investment. So what is your payback period? If you are going to fit a building or you are doing an investment for your company, this is the most important thing. So invest, but invest wisely.
Yeah, so we're going to continue to invest in the things that I already mentioned previously. So the efficiency apps that we have, basically anything that's going to make life easier for our employees. It's going to generate more value for our clients. So we've already invested in these systems. So we're going to continue the development. So we've already brought it in for the technicians, for the housekeepers. We're now moving to the security teams. We're even looking in the future, it's a bit early to mention this, but already we're looking at our health and safety and our quality. We're going to be implementing and using the same technology. We've got the hardware. Because initially when we started, we looked at horizontal communities in terms of tracking the tasks. It's very easy because you can geo-fence across a map. It's one level. And we were the first company who brought it into high-rise, where it's obviously more difficult because, you know, if you look at a map, it's only one level. So we had to install Bluetooth sensors right across the community to ensure that we can see, you know, every level of the building has been maintained. And obviously when we bring that for security, we can see that the patrollers have been around the full community. And obviously we'll link our HSE and our quality to that. So yeah, ultimately we're going to continue to jump on the back of the investments that we've had. And then overall, that's going to increase more value for the customers because we've already invested. So yeah, improve the economies of scale.
Before doing the investment, you need to have a holistic overview about its return on investment. Of course, is very important, as Mohamad mentioned. But you have to focus on doing the right things and doing the things right at the same time. So you will have a whole. You will be evaluating all the aspects. The feasibility when it comes to the commercial value of your investment, at the same time, the enhancement of the service, the added value that you're bringing to the client, and your contribution to the community that you're operating in, the welfare of your employees, the corporate social responsibility of the organization, the industry overall, the impact, your impact on the industry. All of these should be taken into consideration before making a decision. So you cannot take a decision from one angle and one side, whether it's sustainability or performance. Everything should be taken into consideration. And one of the common mistakes that we do when we evaluate an investment is we look at the short-term goals. While FM is a long-term industry, you have to plan 15, 20 years in advance.
Our belief is that technology and innovation and investing in these technologies can change the built world for better. So to answer your question, definitely both, we look at both sides, sustainability and technology to invest in. On the technology part, I would say that investing in technology really is not an option. It's existential, it's not monetary measured. So we need to keep up the appetite from and the expectation of the end users is always relying more and more on technology. For the sustainability, I would say it's part of our DNA. We're here to be part of a solution and not the problem. So we always push ourselves to walk the talk and to protect the environment, really.
From Farnek perspective, whenever we think about technology or the strategy from being an FM company, we always segregate for people and the facility assets and the processes. So when we talk about people, we are talking about our customers, which are the king, of course, center of attraction, but at the same time, our employees as well. So whenever we are coming with the initiatives for technology, for people, we always make sure that there is always initiative which is making the information more visible and providing more and more support to our employees through digitization. So talking about people technology, so I'll give you an example that Hitek, being part of Farnek, we developed our own CAFM system, but here considering our customers in mind, we put more power into the mobility app that we developed, the WhatsApp AI chatbot, so that it makes the communication and the process of CAFM raising the service requests very easier for the customer who don't want to bring get themselves onto any specific app. So this is how we put a thought process, just an example of CAFM, that how we think about our customer, and then the whole process is automated and connected, giving you all the automated reporting and automatic email for job completion, not only the job completion, but your online dashboards and automated reports. But at the same time, our employees, they are our strength, they are our assets. So we, at Farnek, we also take technology initiative for our employees. We have recently launched one initiative called Farnek Buddy, which is obviously for our employees, where we have digitized the whole process of employee happiness. For example, we would like to hear from our employee that if they are not happy, if there is anything specific that Farnek can put a focus on, which can improve their life, being a human, as well as an employee to Farnek. At the same time, all the leave application, document requests, all that notification, liaison with HR has become a part of Farnek Buddy. But on top of it, very importantly, their learnings. So we have brought in the digital learning for our employees as a part of Farnek Buddy, where in their own time, they can spend assigned courses or in the, even the courses that they are interested in. So a cleaner cannot be a cleaner all their life. They should have an opportunity to engage themselves in the learning, which we have a responsibility as a FM company to provide them an avenue where they can engage themselves and upgrade their skills to go up the ladder. And there are many processes, I'm sure you will read that shortly in the PR about Farnek Buddy. Then coming to the customer facilities and assets. So there we come with a topic of not only CAFM, but as we know that most of the building energy, most of the building cost is contributed towards from energy. So yes, Hitek has also developed the energy platform, which is connected and driven by the data from IoT devices and BMS. And this is where obviously it's not only reinventing the wheel, we know that why we need energy management platforms to bring the visibility to our customers and the tenants and the owner about making some informed decisions, give them the awareness of using energy responsibly. But obviously, since we need to innovate, there's the time, the requirement is for the time to support a UAE strategy for net zero. So we have developed our own carbon calculator, which supports not only Farnek, its customer, but commercially in the industry to identify what are the carbon emissions your direct and indirect processes are generating, which you should plan to achieve the net zero as per a UAE vision. So this is how Farnek, we are not only being specific and focused on one topic, but we do have initiatives and technology for people, for asset and processes. So for process, I'll very quickly give you an example. I know I'm taking time. A couple of years back, 2 years back, we have digitized the complete procure-to-pay process. Again, e-procurement from Farnek. This is where we got our suppliers onboarded, our requesters. So the whole process for procurement to pay is digitized in the online platform. So where we are making our process leaner and smarter.
How have you approached digital transformation as an organization? And what were the key drivers and success factors? Will you be able to share with and what were the also hurdles as well? So could you please share with us the things?
Digital transformation is a part of a strategy of a goal. So again, you start with the goal, then you put a strategy, then tactics, and then you go to operations. So this has been, I joined the business 4 years ago, and we put a very clear plan where we want to go. The driver behind this was, one, to catch up to the industry leaders and to put our mark. So the first driver for us was to catch up. Then we said, okay, we are there. How can we now have a unique selling point for us? Number 3, we wanted to be more cost effective, and we want to drive efficiency, because you need to use technology to drive efficiency, reduce your cost across your platform. Then you need another driver to have your employees happy, work in an environment where they have access to information. So we developed our HR system, integrated it with our CAFM system, with ERP, and we provided them the tool where people can use through apps whatever they need. So it needs to be aligned for one goal, which is the development of the company. Blockers, just the last part of your question, is budgets. You want to do everything at the same time, but sometimes you have to spread it because of your budgets. And one thing, sometimes you go to a client and you tell him, I want to implement my award-winning CAFM system, and it is for free, but the client, no, I want to use mine. And he's convinced that he has the best thing in the world. But with time, you then can sell it to him that, our system is better, you can have more results, better report, etc., etc. But that's sometimes one of the blockers.
Thank you. Yeah, we treat it like a project. So we always start with the need. We don't look at the technology, we look at what we need, and then we build back from that. Communications are a very important part of it. So we make sure that obviously our clients are buying into it. And we also have to make sure that our staff, our employees are buying into it as well. Whenever you mention efficiencies within a business, people get very nervous. However, because we take a proactive approach at Emrill, we make sure that we're constantly looking for efficiencies. So rather than making efficiencies and then having to make redundancies, that doesn't happen. We do it the other way around, and we make sure that we're always looking at value.
Digital transformation for me is a continuous plan, continuous journey. It starts with the selection with the right platforms, and you keep ensuring that the integration between the systems that you have, and you continuing add to it, because every day you have a new technology, a new system, a new requirement. So the digital transformation require a capable team and understanding on how to select the right solution, and to have it integrated together. So today you can get the best CAFM system in the world, and you can get the best ERP system in the world, and the best time and attendance system in the world, but they don't talk to each other. When it comes to management of human resources, again, one of our pain. And if you don't, I've seen examples when time and attendance does not talk to HRMS, which is everything. So you have a nice platform, but you cannot. You have to manual input. So the integration is key in the digital transformation.
So for us, our guiding principle in setting a customer, an outstanding customer journey, is really to shape it in a way that's sensorial, unforgettable, and really very to be user friendly. So the success in it is measured through the NPS, the customer satisfaction, and the difficulties or the challenges are mostly sometimes the budget, sometimes the data, and how we can make the customers aware of such technology. So to push them to adopt it, and definitely you might invest in a system, as Tarek just rightly said. You have to be dynamically evolving. You cannot say, I have the best system, and then to sleep over it for like 10 years. Technology is always pushing everyone, and you need always to keep an eye on such technology.
I mean, I'm totally in agreement with all my fellow panelists here that yes, the technology cannot be isolated technology. So a time attendance system doesn't make any sense if it is not connected to your payroll, that you still have to have the manual intervention, but there is always a use cases which is required. So yes, I appreciate what my fellow panelists has said, and in terms of the evolvement as well, because it's not only technology which evolves, our processes has to be leaner as we progress, because we don't want to stay where we are today, and we want to evolve, we want to grow. So our technology and the process has to be scalable and smarter as we grow as a company.
What are those things which are holding you back? What are the hurdles in that?
For me, I look at the bottom line. You know, I run a company, so everything needs to make financial sense. That's how I look at it. So you need to ensure that this is increasing your revenue, this is reducing your cost. In this, on this occasion in particular, it is reducing the cost. So from making the people run or work more efficiently, communicate more efficiently, but at the end there is a financial impact. So again, I started by saying you need to invest wisely. It needs to solve a problem, and it needs to reduce your cost. So if you can do that, that would be a great combination.
At Emrill,
Emrill,
we're customer-centric, so that the first protocol is to obviously check in with the client, make sure that they're happy with the improvements that we've put in with the technology. We also know from ourselves, from a management team, that we can see the increased efficiencies, we can see the increased quality and the effect that the technology implementations had on the contracts. And then, of course, we have to not forget about our employees, and we have to work with the employees, work closely to make sure that it is making their lives easier, it is making them more efficient, and also if they've got any suggestions that we can maybe tweak the technologies to make sure that we streamline further.
Two important points that they covered. The third point to be added is the selection of the right solution, especially when you're buying a new technology, that there is no proof about the feasibility of technology that was invented 6 months ago or 1 year ago, and you have 2-3 options. This is one of the challenges that you'll be facing.
So for us, of course, first engaging everyone, from the stakeholder to the customer to the business leaders, to ensure that we are setting the direction towards the steering towards the objectives needed. Of course, the governance and ensuring that everything is going within the law as well. One of as I said before, the customer satisfaction and the NPS are the measures. The app analytics or data analytics to see how much the users are really using and downloading and We have as well a complaint platform, so we can measure the complaint and how the residents are really reacting to what we offer. An example to that is the resident app, where they have a lot of offerings from the retail that we have, discounts and all of this, and this as well provide us with a measure of their use of such facilities.
Javeria, please.
To quickly wrap it up, I would say that yes, it all boils down to the fact of adaptation, which is itself challenged by that the awareness and education of the stakeholders to make a business case where technology cost is giving you ROI, which has to be worked out. So this is where we need to engage, as Tarek rightly said, that all the stakeholders which can contribute and who should realize that how technology is actually in return saving the cost. So it's a very, I would say that it's a very complicated process, but you need to address it in a very phasing approach. But even after, if you take an initiative, implement it, very important is to ensure that you are getting the return on investment. So the monitoring is as important that you promise to the business once the technology is activated.
For any success of that technology, there is a steep learning curve. This is what I understand, and there is the best of best, which Tarek has very clearly pointed out, is the interaction amongst the users, all the stakeholders, and unless there is a buyout and there is adaptation of that particular technology, no matter how good or how best the technology you are bringing it, and it will not penetrate. It may not give the expected outcomes. Integration of the systems, communication amongst the various stakeholders, which could be, facility management is a bouquet of lots of things which are happening together, and one has to react very, very quickly and give the results because the customers are at your end, means you are at the receiving end. So the communication and the integration probably becomes one of the key source besides the technology as well.
How do you make sure that there's no over-dependence on certain technologies so that the operations of a certain facility or a client becomes jeopardized by any failure or hiccup from that technology? A lot of people or operations become very reliant on the systems that they use, and if there are any critical operations happening, how to avoid a negative impact on the operations? And the second part of the question, which is also on dependence, and I'd like to address it to Tarek. You referred to one of the panelists as a competitor. So how much of that technology and dependence on technology is used by companies so that they lock in their clients, so that the client finds it difficult to switch to another service provider because there's a certain technology provided by a certain company, maybe data, maybe systems that they become reliant on, and then that is used as a locking mechanism to hold on to your clients or competitors doing that.
Obviously, we all know the fact that sometime back when WhatsApp got blocked in UAE, how incommunicable we all felt like. So, and this is, again, with the pandemic also, what it gives us as a human, an insight that we cannot depend on technology and we shouldn't be depending upon technology all the time. There should be always a plan B. And this is why the technology, when it is created for experts so that they can drive the strategy, but there is always a plan A and B. For example, even for technology, when technology evolves, we talk about cloud. Why the cloud platforms are there? This is to make sure that if one data center is down, you have another data center which is catering the platform. So therefore, the over-dependency is required to make your operations smarter and leaner, to educate your customer to make the information-driven decisions, but it should be always deployed and activated with a backup or business continuity.
One of the challenges that we face is that the duration of our contracts is 1 year to 3 years, while ideally it should be 5, 10, and 20 years. But most of procurement processes don't allow this. So this is an opportunity, what you have mentioned is an opportunity to lock down a contract for a longer period. If you can have a solution to your client that will make the relationship longer than 3 years, that we will be his only option, it will be a long-term engagement. I'll give you an example. If you convince your client to do a BIM model, he will be stuck with you for a longer period. If you're providing with the service, he will stay with you for 20 years.
It's important that obviously service providers, we're a people business, so we can't remove people. Everyone's talking about robots and thinking of too much movies maybe, but obviously it's got to complement the operation. And you're right, we can't be too over reliant. And even when we've got sensors in our communities, we're still doing our checks as well, just in case, because you can't be too over reliant.
We are now testing with something called VPod, where you have a virtual receptionist, okay? But people are trying to sell us this, to sell it to other clients. We're doing a test for it. Personally, I'm not convinced of it. I like people, so yes, we would like to have robots and all this, but where it is specialized and in downturn, and myself and my colleague Tarek, we were in Amsterdam and we looked at many things, and I know for definitely this will not replace people, but it could be used in downtimes where, let's say in the evenings, where you do deep cleaning in a mall or something like that. Now, just to add to what Eli, his question, people work in partnerships, and we are in UAE ahead of the curve in FM by far compared to other countries. However, one of the deficiencies that we have in our FM model is that we have short-term contracts. And when you have a marriage, normally it's a long term. It's not, 1 year or 2 years. You need to have a marriage. Yes, exactly. So the idea is that we want to have 5 years, 10 years, maybe even 20 PPP projects where we invest as facilities management companies with the customer so that we build partnerships.
From a developer point of view, we have the two models. We have we partner in different. We have agreements with the FMO, the FM operator, and we have the agreement with the contract. And we have the agreement with the software developer for the FM. Same for the community as well.